Hi, Sashe.
Hey, Riddhi.
Nice to have you here in India.
Thanks.
Sashe is head of Leaderonomics Digital Learning, and he's here in India with Parthi and me for the preview of Inside Risk. Along the sides of that, Sashe, we want to talk to you about leaders in the digital world. In the digital world, how do the leaders of today create the next generation of leaders?
Well, it's a great question, right? I think. So let me take a step back on what digital world means to me, right?
Okay.
So I think digital is just these new technologies that's introduced and things like that. And we talk about industry revolution 4.0 and things like that. But if you think about it, we've had these revolutions over and over again. We had the industrial age, we had mechanization, and automation and things like that. And now it's just a different new sets of technologies coming into the workplace.
Yes.
So we've always had these disruptions.
Okay.
So as a workforce, we've always evolved and things like that. So leaders have always evolved as well.
Yes.
It's just that there's always this lag. Because you see, these innovations happen, and then usually individuals absorb it faster, corporates absorb it slower, governments absorb it even slower, as we all know.
Yes.
So as leaders, I think what we have to do is we just have to embrace it. Don't try to fight it, and not just take it for the fact that it's new and I have to use it. No. There's something that it adds value. Find that value in that new technology and then put it in, right? So I'm not, there's no, there's this, the world is burning, digital is changing everything and things like that. Yeah, things are moving a bit faster than we're used to, but we've also adopted a lot, right? You look at the newer generation, they adopted things a lot faster.
Absolutely.
So as humans, we are also getting there. So I think it's just about accepting that there's value in the new technology and implementing it.
I love the phrase that you used, which was about embrace the new.
Yeah.
Merely not take it as it's a thing I have to do and I will have to do it.
No.
When one has to embrace the new ways of working, and you rightfully said digital is just one thing, what are some things that you look at in a leader and say, that's the one who's embracing it? Some poster boy leader that you say, that's the one who's embracing it.
Yeah, so I think that's a great question. I think today what you want from a leader is learnability.
Okay.
Right, so someone who is willing to really embrace things that they don't know, accept challenges, not shy away from it.
Okay.
And say, listen, I don't know, but I'm going to learn. I'm going to figure it out. And I'm going to do, and I'm going to test one way, and I'm going to test another way, and I'm going to find the best way to do this. So if you have that growth mindset, which means, never say die, never say I don't know, there's no blockers, I'm going to overcome the blockers. If you have that attitude, I think you're going to be a great leader today. So, having the concept that I'm going to constantly learn, I'm never going to rest in the space that I'm in right now.
Which also means that I perhaps don't know it all right now.
Yeah, you don't. And anybody who tells you otherwise is wrong, right? Anybody who comes to me and says, yeah, I know how to do that, I know everything about it. No, you don't.
You don't.
Yeah,
okay.
nobody does, right? There's very few people who can claim that. So
True.
I think embracing that nature is important.
Okay. The bit about, while you embrace that uncertainty, the newness, you're figuring things out along the way, and there are several mistakes one's going to make. What's the price which is fair for one to pay for that while you're making mistakes and learning things?
Oh, great question. I think it also depends on what your current status is. I had this conversation with a colleague just yesterday, actually. So if you're a company which has a little bit of leeway to make mistakes, which means it can mean capital, it can means cash,
yes.
It can mean extra resources where you can spend the time on making mistakes,
okay.
then you should, right?
Okay.
But if you're a company who is so lean and you're in the brink of, make or break, then maybe you can't make as many mistakes. You got to make the right decisions, right?
Okay.
So I think as a leader, you have to also understand the situation that you're in and understand how much risk you can take, but take as much risk as possible. Right? And that's what's important. And how do you go about this? Like I said, learnability. Do you build that culture around you as well? Do you build agility around you? Why agility? Because agility means you get to try things and learn from it. So that's going back to learning culture, right?
Yes.
Do you find the right resources around you to help you? Because like we just stated, right? You don't know everything.
Yes.
So what are the resources around you that are helping you? Are there mentors around? Are there other resources that content that you can find and things like that? And then making sure that you pause, self-reflect, look at what you've done, see is that correct? Was that the best I could do? Getting feedback on it and things like that.
So feedback from yourself by reflecting, feedback from others
feedback from the results, from the data.
Feedback from the results. I think that would be fairly indicative of how you have progressed or otherwise.
Learning, finding the resources to help you, and then looking at the results and getting feedback and evaluating.
Great, and that's the way to move ahead and
That's
move
right.
forward. Thank you so much, Sashe. Thanks a lot for making time for speaking to us.
Thanks.